My name is Brian Riggs, and this series is called Spanish Guitar Techniques. So in this series, we're going to look at the techniques that you use mostly from your right hand to kind of produce the sounds that you kind of hear or associate with Spanish guitar music. So today we're going to start with right hand basics and arpeggios. So an arpeggio is when you play the notes of a chord, one note at a time. Instead of playing the whole chord like this, you just play the notes one note at a time. You can kind of do any pattern with your right hand fingers that you want. So if you play like acoustic or fingerstyle or blues or jazz, you probably have done some of this, where you play the notes, you pick out the notes one at a time. It's kind of a very nice technique. So what's cool about Spanish guitar music is that we can have like a texture, kind of a background of just an arpeggio, where it's just on a chord. But what we can also do is we can have a melody going on with one part of the hand, either the thumb or one of these fingers, and use the other fingers of the right hand to do an accompaniment part at the same time. So today we're going to look at a song called Leyenda. It's one of the most famous, one of the most popular Spanish guitar pieces. It was written by the Spanish composer Isaac Albéniz. And it has like this really famous kind of melody. You might be familiar with that from the Doors song, Spanish Caravan. It uses the same melody. So it starts off with doing that melody with the thumb of the right hand. And it starts off with the index finger also playing the B string open. It's kind of like an accompaniment part. And then later on, it stays with the thumb doing the melody, then the index finger, and then either the middle or ring. I use my ring finger to play a two-note accompaniment part. So there's like three notes altogether. Thumb, and then two notes that are like going along with it. So I'll kind of give you an example of that, then we'll break it down and see what's going on. So let's take a look at what's going on there. So what I'm doing is I'm playing the melody, or like the low part that you kind of hear, that you kind of sing, with the thumb of my right hand. It's kind of playing these lower bass strings. Then I'm using the fingers of my right hand to accompany that. So in guitar music, we kind of notate our fingers P for the thumb, I for index, M for middle, and A for the ring finger. For the picking techniques, we don't really use the pinky so much. So in this technique, a great way to get started is to hold down like a familiar kind of open chord shape. I'll do A minor here, and do like the thumb on the lower notes. And what I'm going to do is on the B string and on the high E string, I'm going to use two fingers on my right hand. So I'm going to use my index finger, or I, on the B string. And then I like to use my A finger, or my ring finger, on the high E string. And the reason that is because my fingers, the I finger and the A finger, they're like pretty much like the same height, like they're kind of like the same length, so they kind of like they work together really well. But if you want to use your index finger and middle, that's totally fine too. A lot of people would play it that way. So what I'm going to do is kind of do like a triplet or like three notes. So I'll do like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And so a great way to kind of start practicing, just kind of you can make up your own little exercises, is to move the thumb from different strings and keep your index finger and your A finger or your M finger, either one. Keep those stuck on those strings. So like in other words, the thumb's playing this guy, and it always comes back to B string, E string. So that's kind of a great way to get started doing the right hand arpeggio technique, which is like so foundational to Spanish guitar music. And the great thing about all these techniques, I'll say this a lot in the lesson series here, is that these are all kind of just foundational to playing any kind of style of music. So it doesn't have to necessarily only be in Spanish guitar music. This is kind of like the way guitar playing really developed, using your fingers and doing these different kind of techniques, or like I call them like touches or feels, to kind of navigate all the different types of music. So going back to our arpeggio here, back to Leyenda, I've written out like the tab and the notes, but like most people start playing the melody here, up on the 7th fret of the A string. And we kind of stay in what I call 7th position. I know I don't have dots on my guitar, so it's hard to see, but I'm on the 7th fret on the A string, and then I kind of keep my hand like in that position, so I don't have to like move my hand around as much. Now in the tab, the notes that I've included, I've just had like just that kind of that basic main theme. I know that it does kind of go into this part. Kind of does shift a little bit, but a lot of different chord books and a lot of different tab books, or a lot of different music books have that in there. So that's kind of like the first part. The second part with that crazy triplet where there's 3 notes, where there's the thumb playing, and then I have index and ring finger, or P, I, and A playing. This gets a little different. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my pinky on the 7th fret of the high E string, and that's like a B note, and then I'm playing the B string open. So like the 2 accompaniment notes are, so 2 different octaves of B. And then I reach my 3rd finger over here to the 7th fret on the A string, and just kind of keep it there. So that pinky just kind of stays glued down there on the 7th fret of the high E string the whole time. So we start off with the thumb playing this E here. And then it's kind of cool. We put our 1st finger on the 4th fret of the G string, and it's another B. So a lot of B's right there. So we have this B and actually a unison note, B string open, and this one an octave higher. So, and then next you slide this guy up to the 5th fret for C. Reach over to the 7th fret here for A, back to that B, which is a little bit of a stretch, I know. And then let go to G open, play a G note, and then you're back to where you started. So give that a shot. You can do any kind of combination of those fingers, P, I, M, and A, that you want. It's kind of fun to see like what works really well, and then some things might not work as well as you want, so that's a really great way to practice and do an exercise. So you can just kind of start by doing really simple kind of chord. For a lot of people, that's a really good skill to develop, to get the thumb to move to different bass strings while keeping these fingers glued to the same string. That's kind of a technique we have to do a lot. So I hope you have fun practicing this. Good luck, and thanks for watching.